find those picks, but Ion here, they've locked themselves playoff. They haven't secured their standings yet, looking to do so here in Game 2.
That is certainly are looking to try and guarantee that they can get a top 4 finish, which would be a phenomenal start to being, one of the latest teams, one of the latest orgs at that, to join the league, to get a playoff position first and foremost, but then to qualify into the upper bracket, to get those 2 lives would be a really strong investment that they've gone for the right roster. Let's see then what they can do with this Twisted Fate in particular. Certainly the, I guess, the hot pick, for lack of a better term, the go-to that is, I guess, left a lot of people scratching their head, and also to that extent, a champion designed for mid lane, but we've not seen it there. It's been bottom top.
Yeah, really nice little ward here from Foreigner as well. Anytime you can kind of intervene in this top lane and drop that ward, what that means is that Doraemon's able to keep his ward for that bush and avoid a potential gank early on, right? That's kind of the main thing that you're worried about as a TF without teleport, is getting a level 2, level 3 early gank and really blowing up your laning phase because you have no way to get back into lane. So Foreigner going to do a really nice thing there and help out his top laner. Meanwhile, Mammoth will get spotted. They do have awareness, but they are in this bush because of that earlier ward. Now, Karma Varus is certainly a very strong level 1 comp, but so is this Ashe and Caitlyn. Seems like we're going to have that level 1 standoff, but here goes Asta.
Despite knowing that they were waiting patiently in that bush, it is still Hexflash and Nebula that take the bare brunt of that damage trade, as they slowly wait for their second wave of minions to arrive before they begin to try and really take control of this lane. That really makes it interesting as to who then actually gets the level 2 priority, because it still looks like it's Mammoth favored, especially now that Dux put so much damage into Nebula.
Yeah, it's absolutely Mammoth favored, not only because they get the HP trade, but also they actually deny all those 3 melee minions XP from going over to Ion's bot lane. So a really nice use of the barrier level 1 by Asta, absorbing both the E and the Karma Q to really turn the trade in their favor. And now the push, which we talk about as being so important in these range versus range matchups, well in the favor of Mammoth here. And Gudo, off the back of this, may look to get a little bit aggressive here with the wave. Foreigner is on vision. They know he's here.
Who's willing to try and respond first becomes the question, as Foreigner realizes that despite hanging out in that pixel bush and knowing that Gudo is on the way, he is not going to be enough to try and deter this aggression that Mammoth are finding in these initial first few minutes. And he is simply sat there, unable to recall back to base.
And look at Gudo here. He's hitting the blue buff, knows that he has the bot lane priority to be able to do this. And because Foreigner got chunked out in that earlier play, he will not be able to contest. So forced back to base, that opens up a window for Mammoth to look for a dive.
Reveals that he's here, that I've stolen your blue buff, and that I am looking for the dive. How do they want to try and play this one? As the TP comes out here from Jovi, can Dajo do anything to try to deter this one? He has no stun, so it would just be damage to make it not look as attractive, but the first blood goes against them. And it's actually Ion that went out.
Yeah, Ion turning that dive around there. The TP invested from Jovi, which unfortunately doesn't yield any kills, as well as the flash going out. But it is a nice response, right? It's a kind of disastrous situation if they're forced off from that wave, but it ends up with a kill going into the pockets of Nebula. So this Varus, who, you know, had a very rough start with that level 1, certainly feeling quite strong about his position now, as Foreigner is looking onto Gudo here.
Oh, that's a little bit of a cheeky interaction between the flag and dragging the flash to reposition himself. The gold card goes out. He flashes to safety, and safety is certainly what he'll find.
Yeah, not really worth it for Ion there. They use double sums on the TF as well as the flash from the Jarvan, and only lose the flash on your Viego. But you can see Doraemon, it's all smiles there. He doesn't care, as he's going to head back up towards his top lane and continue pushing in the wave. But here we go one more time, looking at the bot lane here. So crucially, the thing that happens is it's a nice flash coming out of the Ion bot lane to create space there. Hex Flash dodging the Viego W and buying enough time for this turret to really ramp up. And Jovi there, that's the only bad thing about that play, is that he comes in, flashes, and doesn't pick up the kill. But nonetheless, 1-0 and a 1,000 gold lead in favor of Ion.
It is the perfect start really here for Ion after what we were saying was so favorable for Mammoth. They got the invade, they got the HP chunk, they got the blue buff steal, and then forced to hand maybe a little bit too much. We've seen those plays work wonderfully in the past for teams in this league. But on that occasion, Ion read it so well that they completely denied it.
Completely denied it. Just like Doraemon here, you can see how little pressure that he is putting onto Nectar here. This TF is so good into Cassante, because until that level 6 comes out, there's basically nothing he can do to actually run you down. do keep in mind that the next wave is the one where Nectar will tick over to that level 6 mark, and he will have the Ghost advantage. So if there's any time a solo kill could come out, you would expect it to be then. But speaking of kills, this mid lane...
Aggression in the mid lane, Daj in the focus right now. His clones are being popped, the Destiny is used, and he comes into a lane and says, hello, it's time to fight action, and they take down Goodo. All those summoners burnt, but look, I just do not care. They're undeterred, but they will have to be in the bot lane because Hex Flash gets run down.
Top lane, Doraemon using that TF ultimate to find the kill onto the flashless Goodo, who he had just bullied before. So now this priority is really starting to become a menace and a problem for Mammoth. Luckily in the bot lane, they do manage to trade one back. This Caitlyn and Ashe just chasing down your flashless Karma, unable to find anything, and they might find Nebula as well.
They're hunting for it. Don't tell me it happens again. Asta's so low, but thankfully gets away. Duck flashing after receiving the turret shot. But this time, the dive happens, and they do get the kill they were hunting for.
It's a big kill as well, because Nebula loses so much off the back end of that. A decent wave picked up. Is now down about 10 CS on this Varus, so certainly not the spot he'd like to be in as top lane. Foreigners here, but not really going to be able to accomplish much here. I think he's just standing for the reset, but Nectar might look onto him.
Yeah, he certainly was getting a little bit angsty there for a second, thinking, I'll take you both on. Certainly knows that a Cassante is not afraid to have a brawl. He can certainly, with an ultimate and a well-positioned charge of that, can definitely separate the fight to make it a 1v1. But really, Foreigner just helping out Doraemon and allowing him, with no ultimate, to act as that TP, that he can get back to base for free.
Yeah, and he'll go back to base, pick up the boots of swiftness as well. So this is something you see coming out of TF just to enable him to have even more mobility in that lane, right? He already has the fleet footwork and Ghost available, and these Swifties mean that he won't be falling victim to whatever Nectar is willing to throw at him. So nice pickup here to ensure he continues to grow his lead towards the top lane. Speaking of leads, mid lane quite even at the moment. Neither player really able to wedge a gap in the CS. But Darjong, you can see, fairly low on HP. Still has the TP, though, to get back to lane if he needs.
Yeah, which no doubt is going to be fairly frustrating for Darjong, right? He has everything up and available while Shobi doesn't, but he's unable to really try and exert that pressure, be it a solo kill or enough to force him to go back to base to miss out on some minions and some gold. And he keeps going in for these distortion combos. They look good. The clone gets popped and Shobi unable to answer back as much, but still he actually has the HP advantage.
Yeah, nice trade there coming out of the Azir. As we can see, bot lane, once again, the pressure continuing to mount for Mammoth. Anytime both this Caitlyn and Ashe are in the lane, they do just default win the priority. As level 6 ticks here for Duck, and it will be looking like the Dragon. You can see all these pink wards they've placed secure basically every single entrance where Foreigner could come in. So he's going to be forced up towards this top side as Goodo secures the first Dragon of the game for Mammoth.
He certainly does. It's a good point. And this is where things certainly get a little bit more exciting here for Nectar. But when you got the boots of Swifties as well as the Ghost, very hard then to land that third Entofo strike. So gets juked out there, does Nectar. And it almost feels a little bit reminiscent of the Varus top lane game we had into Cassante, where you're just trying to kite as much as you can. It's all about dodging that grab.
All is about that key dodge. You can see here, Jovi trying to dodge the pressure on Mammoth. They've brought it up to potentially look for a turret dive, but that ward will provide enough value to allow him to get out in time. And with Foreigner walking back towards this mid lane, there will be no dive to be had. Meanwhile, Goodo just taking this advantage and using it to further get some kills on the jungle camps, but here goes Doraemon.
Oh, crucially, the tower aggro drops from Doraemon there, which I think Nectar was really banking on being the success. And he's really been bailed out of what could have been a very dire situation there. Doraemon, thankfully, is able to run to some honey fruit. Day expires, and now he's being trolled on two fronts.
It's still a big play, though. There's no Cassante out here, and Doraemon has so much mobility. He should feel fine cutting him out here. This might be a bit of a chase, Skimmy.
He certainly could look to try and cut him out. He's going to lack vision, but he can plant it in here by going for the Destiny. Nectar tries to go and prevent that gold card from finding effect, but now he's going to get the full stun. And Doraemon is just going to keep peppering with these cards. And, yeah, really wrangling control of this lane.
Yeah, he does no damage. It's a Tabi's Cassante. That guy's practically immortal to a TF, but Asta might not be. Rather, Duck.
Yeah, I mean, Foreigner just rocks into the lane, doesn't even bother with the EQ. He uses that right after. Beautiful cleanse! But it's not enough because Nebula, he's got the damage. And whilst Darjong is here, he pokes his head into lane and says, nope, not interested.
Oh, it's a horrible time for Asta to not be there. You can see he went up towards that top side to try to find something there. as the grubs are respawning.
Oh no.
And he throws the arrow and it misses.
He's missed it, and Dajong rocks back into the lane. The Empress Divide goes out. Joby might just stream a shuffle for safety across into the enemy jungle. He's got his team to be there to protect him. Nice flash to cover the distance. And Foreigner just shadowing him as he's out.
Yeah, he's fine. Escapes 3 members of Mammoth there on that mid-wave and will walk away with nothing. Duck, unfortunately, falling victim to that kill earlier, but will be able to catch back up with this CS. So, yes, he falls down, but the Caitlyn's still feeling relatively strong in the overall game state. As we can see, Dajong forcing the flash out of Foreigner actually there in that little skirmish.
Yeah, there's enough pressure. I mean, Dajong's certainly not weak, but he really wants that first item to come online before Jovi, right? So he can continue to utilize that flash advantage. But just been unable to find that first kill or that assist. He's been poking his head around. But nothing's truly materialized to be, ever too favorable for him. And this just must be frustration. Such pain for Nectar to try and endure. Picking the right time to try and get aggressive. And if you pick it poorly, you lose half your HP.
Yeah, luckily this time he has Gudo on his side of the map, so feels a little bit more empowered in going for these aggressive Intofo strikes. As you can see with the Warden's Mail picked up, basically he will never die from this point onwards, right? Basically, there's not enough damage coming out from Doraemon, so he will be looking to find kills around him as Nebula's catches an arrow.
Arrow's on. This time though, it's not enough because the cleanse. Get hold for a second. And I think a little bit of hesitation from Nebula. Do I really need to use this or not? Can I greed? But as soon as Duck reveals himself, he goes, it's not worth it, and does use that summoner. Obviously, Foreigner still waiting in the area. If anything were to continue, he would have been ready to try and punish them with the Cataclysm underneath that tower. But it is just continued trades between, poke from afar and seeing who has the lower HP bar once that Jonah does arrive.
Speaking of poke, a little bit levied there from Dajong on towards Jovi. And that's going to unlock this mid-jungle duo of Mammoth to walk down towards the bot lane, but Foreigner...
Yeah, he was looking for Asta there, but as soon as he spots Gudo, he realizes it's no longer a play that I really want to go for. Asta flashing forward aggressively to keep him locked on down. They missed the kill onto Foreigner. He flag and drags out to safety. Nebula survives as well. It's the worst case scenario here for Mammoth. They commit 4 members, but all they can get is blinking health bars.
How does he live time and time again? Foreigner on this Jarvan manages to make his way out of impossible situations. Couple key cooldowns there, not available for Mammoth, right? That Ash Arrow not available to lock a target down. And the Viego ultimate just missing onto that Jarvan, which would have secured the kill. So a nice little swing there from Mammoth eventually actually results in nothing besides that turret breaking in the bot lane, equalizing the gold lead at 21,000.
Yeah, another very close game, much like game 1, but it certainly took a bit of time for us to ramp up into a position that was enough to determine who would be the victor. This game, a little bit more different though, and I think even more a case of leading into the macro, right? Because you do have that Twisted Fate, you've got that Azir, going to be very keen to sit in top and bot, and have a very strong 3-man in the Varus, Karma, and Jarvan to threaten enough to try and say that, Mammoth, if you peel away, you don't have the luxury now of that pick with the Nocturne and Orianna. It really is going to be the threat of a fed LeBlanc, which just isn't the case right now.
And that's the thing, when you do consider the 3 members from Ion who will be grouped in that mid lane, the Jarvan, Varus, and Karma, they have fantastic disengage, right? If it is just a pure 3v3 situation, you can just send the Jarvan to tank that Ash Arrow, EQ out with the Karma shield on top of him, and he's feeling absolutely fine. So it'll be interesting to see how Mammoth navigate this situation as we get later into the game. The Rift Herald and Dragon both available now. Looks like Mammoth heading towards his bot side, wanting to pick up their second Dragon and get towards the Soul Point. Meanwhile, Foreigner will secure this Rift Herald.
Yeah, certainly the case, right? They're going to just trade objectives at this point, playing to their strengths, where bot lane is working in favor of Mammoth, and top lane, certainly Doraemon dominated is... it's a very even state in terms of CS, but clearly the priority has always been in his favor as Dajong finally gets a nice little chunk into Jovi, enough for him to summon a Sun Disc and say that I am under a bit of threat right now. Can anybody help me? At a range for the Destiny would be Doraemon. And Jovi now in a bit of a rough spot where he's actually going to turn around and say, you know what, I want to get the kill. And maybe not the time to try and get aggressive.
Oh, it's a valiant effort there. He knows he's dead because Viego and Ash are both coming in to get him from behind his turret. So tries to make it a 1-for-1. It won't be though, but Duck has been caught off.
He certainly has been caught, and he burnt the cleanse, but he had the flash, but he just didn't decide to use it. And whilst nobody piloted the Herald on the first charge, they certainly will on the second. And just like that, a kill found, and 2 turrets are destroyed. Nectar, though, is sprinting into this mid lane, as is Dajong from the other side. And they know, you're pinched, you're collapsed upon, but Gudo is dead.
Gudo gets picked there, and Nectar might have a similar fate. He is trapped in the Cataclysm.
He's surrounded by every single member of Ion, and the ultimate is not enough for him to cover the distance. And it's just weird. A really weird turn of events there, where it's just 3 members individually dying one by one.
It's gone from bad to worse for Mammoth there. Starts off with a pick onto Duck in that mid lane, and the TFL catching him off guard there. And then off the back end, Mammoth wants to get something back. They try to bring their solo laners down. As we take a look again here, you can see Gudo, he has the right idea, wanting to find a pincer, but he just walks into 4 members, gets killed instantly. And then what can you do after that? Nectar, this is Cassante with no flash, no way to get out of that Cataclysm, and he just falls down off the back end as well. So what's an initial nice little push from Ion into that mid lane to break those 2 turrets ends up in being actually a huge gold swing. Now leaving this TF and Varus very fed.
Yeah, this is brutal. Face shaking a gold card and just dying within a full stun window. Certainly doesn't feel too good. Let's then check in with the overall gold. No surprise then, Doraemon with the most gold in the game. He's sitting at 3-0-1. Living his best life right now as the Swiss is fate. And speak of the devil, here he goes. Once again, forcing pressure with a gold card. Being threatened. A flash has to always be used.
And that's the annoying part about this TF as the game goes on. He has so much priority and so much mobility with the build that he's gone for that he really can be anywhere on the map. And this Caitlyn, who just burnt Cleanse in that previous fight, doesn't want anything to do with the potential gold card. So Flash will have to be expended, but here comes the Ash Arrow potentially landing onto Nebula.
Beautiful snipe there to Nebula. He's missed the chains. It doesn't matter. It's LeBlanc. They do an absurd amount of damage anyway. Foreigner, though, is staring him down and realizes, I'm not interested. I'm not going to take any part in this one. But that's what you need from the Ash. These Ash shots have to hit. And just open up a bit of freedom for, Mammoth to respond back.
And a gold as well going on to Dajong is huge, right? This LeBlanc really hasn't been able to find that much for the rest of the stage. That is the first kill that he is going to be picking up. But now this adds to his side lane pressure. Is potentially looking onto Jovi here. Chain roots.
Chain does root, and it makes it difficult then for Jovi to survive this one. But whilst he waits for the Cordons to come back, he was hitting him hard as the Azir, but as soon as Dajong was ready to go with that distort back in, lights out.
That was a really nice flash there from Dajong. He knows that Jovi has flash and will probably be able to react if he just casts the distortion. So instead says, how about reacting to a point blank W, which he obviously will not be able to do. So a second kill picked up in a very short span here for Dajong. 1,000 in the gold lane in a minute 30 on what could be Mammoth's third dragon.
Certainly could be, and I'm really sure they're hoping for that to be their win condition, their chance to try and take a bit of a comeback in this game, because Nectar finds himself in unfamiliar territory. I say that jokingly because he's surrounded by 4 again. It's like the Aatrox treatment all over again.
Yeah, he can't catch a break, Nectar, here on this Cassante. Just tries to catch a wave and ends up getting collapsed upon by 4 members of Ion. And off the back end of this play, Doraemon once again kind of the celebrant of that, being able to pick up these waves, shove this turret in, and pick up that top lane turret. Now, good things for Mammoth is that it will be broken and traded by this mid lane turret, which is incredibly big in opening up the map, allowing yourself more room to play with this pick comp that you have picked up for yourself.
Some important minimization, though, coming online. We see the Serpent's Fang here for Asta. Going to be really important, given the amount of shields. Not only Karma, but the rest of the team looking to be topped up in that regard as well. And, obviously Asta hitting those ultimates to make sure that they can just hit them with the stun and destroy them within that window. Gorgeous mobility found, with it being an infernal map, makes it easy for Nectar to rock back to the bot lane, but realizes that that tower no longer exists. And a Sun Disc protects Jovi to get back to base. Next Dragon in about 5 seconds now. He needs to rush on back, get some items, get some power. And then look to contest this Dragon. Arrow misses, and that's not the ideal situation. In comes the TP from Nectar. This time, no Caitlyn trap to deter him. And they do get control of mid. That does give them the inside track for this third one.
Yeah, it's huge. They have the priority here, and it looks like they are going to be able to force Ion out here with all this poke that LeBlanc brings. They're starting this Dragon up now. Keep in mind, the TF has been popped, and there is a TP available for Jovi.
Years, they're split apart right now on Mammoth as Ions looks to try and punish them from every single angle. Asta with no ultimate, not as scary as he would have been otherwise. They've stolen the Dragon. Foreigner has done it. And how many kills can it get as a result right after? They've already taken the mid-jungle duo. Doraemon once again impressing with these flashy picks from the red side. He's 5-0-2 right now as the Twisted Fate, and nobody can stop him.
Nobody can stop him. The Dragon stolen by Foreigner, and a massive fight blown open in favor of Ion. You can see that this TF just unchecked in all these fights, able to throw out card after card. As here we go again, you can see it really is a fight on two fronts. Foreigner threatening a flank, in addition to Jovi, who's just pulled up thanks to the TP, goes into the pit and just provides so much value, knocking up Duck. And Dajong takes the W back, but just dies instantly off the back end of it. And then Nectar is all by himself. It feels like the 6th time this game and 6th time this series that he has been caught off isolated in these little plays. But it means that this TF now 6-0-2, like you mentioned. 2 items completed, very close to the rapid fire cannon as well. A real threat in this top lane for Ion.
What a disgusting champion ADTF is, hey? What a time to be alive here as he rocks up into the spotlight again, and with the Kraken Slices, that's the fake one. Here's the real one, and I've got you! And that arrow's not going to do too much to save him. Arjun dead again, not what you want when he's got the majority of their team's golds, and really, it's as simple as that for Ion to find a pick and go straight to Baron.
Yeah, there's no TP on K'Sante here as well, so if Nectar wants to get up towards this, he will just have to run. But with all the DPS that Ion have, it's a TF, Azir, and Varus all hitting this while empowered by a Jarvan E. This thing absolutely melts. Gudo may try. He might try to get into the pit.
He's going to go for the steal. He's heroic in his efforts there with the ult flash to guarantee that something could go their way. But he's unable to try and replicate the valiant effort that Foreigner did just moments prior.
It's a desperate attempt there, but it's a valiant one that will not go in their favor. You can see that Ion pick up the Baron as well. 7,000 now, the gold lead. And this is here, this TF. If there weren't a problem already, how about with the Baron buff?
Certainly, with the Baron buff, it's gone from bad to absolutely terrifying. There is no worse. It's far beyond that from this point now, and I'm really curious to see how Ion actually want to try and set up with this. Do they go for that 1-3-1 that we highlighted? Or do they decide to stick to their guns and say, we don't need to necessarily greed and go for the most optimal macro play. Let's just stick as a unit and just continue to find these picks.
I think you absolutely want to keep the TF in the side lane right now. He's able to just machine gun through turrets. He might walk into Nectar here.
Face checks the K'Sante, he gets hit by the all-out. There's an Ash ult, or rather a Caitlyn ult. He flashes that Totem, he lives, he gets the Karma shit and the blast code. Doraemon lives. Ash ult! Oh, my life flashed before me there for a second, and oh man, it feels so rough here for Nectar. This series really hasn't gone his way. He falls on down for the 4th time. And if I see a Jarvan and an Ash matchup ever again, it just feels a little bit cursed.
Oh, the fact that they can't even get to Raymond when he face checks a K'Sante with Gudo in the area really speaks to how desperate and how dire the situation is for Mammoth here. You can see as well Asta on the back end just taken down, instantly one-shot from the Chains of Corruption, plus all the damage to come through. And that will allow Ion to break open this map. But Dajong is looking...
He's looking at a grey screen. He really is. He's looking at the fountain and thinking, guys, why is it 15 kills to 5? Why are we down 10k gold? And why are Ion just far too good in this game here tonight? Inside their base they go, attacking 3 lanes at once. Nothing is safe. And with the Baron still having a minute left, they really could do a clean sweep here.
Look at the gold that they've gained from that Baron power play. It's plus 6.5 thousand at this point with a minute to still go on it. And you can see the Change Corruption does miss onto Nectar, but there's still a lot of damage.
He goes unstoppable for a second. The Ash shot comes out, instantly claims Nectar, says, can I turn it around? Or is it just a little bit doomed? Onto their second inhibitor are Iron right now. This Foreigner constantly threatening. I've got that Cataclysm. Who wants to step up? Who wants to get a little bit too frisky here as he goes in with the flag and drag, waiting for the moment, and there it is! How about you get shoved into that Cataclysm as they take down 2 very, very quickly. Dajong flanking from the side. He'll snipe away a Nebula, but it's not enough. They still got 3 very healthy members on the side of Ion, and they really are just saying, it's time to get ionized.
And Foreigner cancels the base there. They'll stare at each other. Ion know that with this win, they've secured themselves the top 4 placing while simultaneously ending Mammoth's playoff hopes. And what a way to do it. Sub 25 minutes, they take the game and take the series 2-0.